There was a fascinating study done at Princeton University. 40 students at the Princeton Theological Seminary, students studying to become ministers, so students like Andrew, who should be extra holy, they were invited to be part of a study that they thought was about religious education. Unbeknownst to them, the test was actually going to study the Good Samaritan phenomenon, to study when and why people responded to a stranger in need. When the participating students arrived for their private appointment, they were asked some preliminary questions. Then, some were told to prepare a 3 to 5 short spoken statement on the meaning of the parable of the Good Samaritan, while others were asked to prepare 3 to 5 minutes on a more mundane topic. Each individual student was then told the place where the talk was going to be taken was in another building in campus, and they were handed a map to get there. Now, 1/3 of the students participating were in a low hurry group, and they were told there was plenty of time to walk to the next building. Another third were in the immediate hurry group, and another third were in the high hurry condition and were told, by the way, you're late. They were expecting you a few minutes ago. The assistants should be waiting for you, so you better hurry up. Now, the map that each student followed took them through an alley. This is all true. In the alley was a stranger sitting slumped in a doorway, head down, eyes closed, not moving. As the subject went by, the victim coughed twice and groaned. Of the 40 theological students, only 16 offered some form of direct or indirect aid to the victim. The other 60% did not. Now, the results of why and when help was offered are fascinating. Surprisingly, whether the subject was going to give a speech on the parable of the Good Samaritan did not affect the helping behavior. Indeed, on several occasions, a seminary student going to talk about the Good Samaritan literally stepped over the victim as he hurried by. But there was one condition that greatly affected whether someone would help out or not. Subjects in a hurry were likely to offer less help than were subjects not in a hurry. One of the conclusions of the study is a person not in a hurry may stop and offer help to a person in distress, but a person in a hurry is likely to keep on going. The pace of our lives affects our hearts in more ways than just heart disease, hypertension, stress, and other illnesses. The pace of our lives closes our heart to each other and to the world. It transforms us into beings who care less. Why does this happen? The study suggests one of two things. The first is related to what psychologists call the narrowing of the cognitive map. Now, what this means in plain English is that when they thought about it later, the students who didn't help the guy in the alley suddenly remembered that they had seen the slumped stranger was possibly in need of help, but they had not worked this out in their mind in the moment when they were near the victim. In short, when we rush, we close out much of our perception and our reaction. We get a sort of spiritual tunnel vision in which we only see where we're going or what we need to have done. Our world literally closes in, and many things are left out. Now, for other subjects, the study says they decided not to stop. These people felt that the people waiting for their talk were depending on them to get to a particular place quickly. There was a conflict between stopping to help the victim and continuing on the way to help the experimenter and the study by giving their talk in a timely way. This conflict of obligation rather than callousness is often the reason for the decision not to stop. In either case, the study concludes, ethics becomes a luxury as the speed of our daily lives increases. We miss things because of our busyness. We miss things because of our busyness. What are we missing in our own lives? Too busy to get to the gym so our body might get healthier. Too rushed to prepare a healthier meal when fast food takes just a second. Too much to do to take the evening off even though we're mentally exhausted. Too afraid to say, no, I'm not taking that on. Because if we say yes, then maybe people will like us more. It will prove that we can handle it, or we can prove that we are in control of it, or we can prove that we are not the flawed people we believe we are. Too busy to stop and admit to ourselves that we need help. Too busy to stop and listen to our own heart's song. What are we missing? What are we missing in other people's lives? When have we failed to offer others a smile or a supportive word or a gentle touch because we're too hurried to even see that it's needed? Who have we missed? What have we failed to see? What have we failed to do because we're racing towards some never-coming finish line? What about the friend we haven't called? The question we haven't asked? The I'm sorry we haven't said yet? The I love you that hasn't been spoken in such a long time? And what about the voices of those pushed to the edges of society? The languishing, forgotten ones who we just don't have the time to hear. Those needing health insurance, equality, someone to remind the world that great injustice is being perpetrated and our tax dollars funded. And what about our kids? What about our kids? What are we missing? What are they doing that we aren't seeing? How are they crying out and we're not hearing? What are they not saying because we aren't taking the time to listen? What are we all teaching them as they watch us live our lives in fast forward? Thomas Merton says, to allow oneself to be carried away by a multitude of conflicting concerns, to surrender to too many demands, to commit oneself to too many projects, to want to help everyone and everything is itself to succumb to the violence of our times. You know, there's already too much violence in the world. There's already too much speed in the world. But there can never be too much time. There can never be too much love and amazing grace. As the great philosophers Simon and Garfunkel once sang, slow down, we move too fast. We've got to make this morning last. We've got to make this morning last. Blessed be. Amen.